Hello, and welcome. My name is Rich. This is Champions Online, and we are playing it in a Let's Play of Champions Online. I was a little bit ham-fisted. I suppose I should prepare my spiel, come up with a script or something for the start of a stream. Just for consistency's sake, if nothing else. This is Technical Issues, an electricity-powered superhero who has travelled back in time from the apocalypse to the present to try and avert it, because it didn't work. Fighting against them at the time didn't work, so now we've come back in time to stop it getting as bad as it did, I suppose, which would be nice if we could do in the real world. But I suppose even then you would still have people arguing that no, it's not as bad as you think. It couldn't possibly have gotten that bad. Let's just continue as we were. Anyway, baptism by Aya. A new mission from Black Mask. I don't know if you noticed, but the new shadows hate the dogs with a passion. Yes, I had noticed, actually. And that it's mutual. That's good news for us, and I'd like to see them fighting the other Vibora gangs just as much. The more they fight amongst themselves, the less time they have to cause trouble. I've been talking to Jury Rig, and I think we have a plan. I don't know that that's true, actually. In all other media I've seen, particularly, I mean, I'm a big fan of procedural detective shows and like cop shows like that. Everywhere else, police and superheroes worry about creating gang wars between rival gangs, because gangs that fight have a tendency to spill over into the ordinary citizens around them. They try and recruit new members. They target important infrastructure from the opposing gang, and generally, when they're at war, they spread just lots and lots of damage around all over the place. So I honestly don't think that Black Mask has a very good idea here. She's going against the established wisdom of all other crime-fighting media that I've ever consumed. Anyway, let's listen to her plan. Here's the deal. The Sovereign Sons raise zombies, right? Find some of the scrolls they used to do it and collect some holy water from the church in Sovereign Sons territory. We'll make water balloon bombs out of the holy water and strap them to zombies, and then send the zombies after vampires on New Shadow's turf. Strapping water balloons to zombies was Jury Rig's idea, but it's still a good plan. No, it isn't. And my character, because she is not afforded any ability to interact with the plot other than to make it go. That's quite pleasing. Big ol' hexagon. Because my character is afforded no ability to interact with the plot whatsoever other than just make it go, I have to put up with having harebrained idiot schemes. Oh, is it repeatable? Oh, I shan't be bothering to repeat it. Ah, that's why. Okay. I just have to enact every harebrained idiot scheme that gets thrust at me. Oh, this is Taffy Winters. This is the mission where you fight alongside a very, very thinly veiled Well, it's not really even veiled, honestly. Would you stop? Jesus. Only in this game does it get confused about button presses and maintaining them beyond where I've actually been holding the button. We'll be fighting alongside Taffy Winters, a not so much veiled reference to Buffy Summers and Buffy the Vampire Slayer as it's not even like Distaff counterpart, like we filed the number code off. It's just a palette swap, really, is what it is. Calling her Taffy Winters is basically the same thing as having a character with different skins, like in League of Legends. There's even a Scooby Gang equivalent, although I don't think they're called Scoobies in this. That would be a little bit too on the nose. What's he hitting me with? There's someone in here. A hostage. Called hostage. Hostage. Yeah. It's a bar full of humans just up the street. Why don't we stop for a drink? Oh, that was the Sanguinarian. Thanks, hero. No problem. Oh, hello. It's good to know that despite these guys, pretty sure that these guys are, oh yes, of course they would be. Pretty sure that these are supernatural, not biological vampires. I mean, the reason I say, oh yes, of course they would be, is because vampiric bats, a swarm of bats, is not something that a biological vampire would be able to turn itself into. Nor indeed, in the case of immortals, would a biological vampire be capable of transforming itself into mist that tries to eat you. So it's reassuring to know that even in a universe with supernatural vampires, the vampires are still susceptible to sufficient quantities of lightning. I wonder how old some of this furniture is. I mean, we're talking about vampires here, so it's probably not reproduction. It must be... well, I assume. I expect that it's original. Oh yeah. They've got a fountain of blood. Now, that much blood can't have come out of one person. And, like, even if you were taking it slowly over time and allowing them to replenish by, I don't know, freezing the blood or something in between, drainings, just so that you had enough. So, that's blood from different people, and I have to imagine that it's just kind of kludged together. I don't know how the vampires in this approach draining blood. Do they have much of a taste for it? Like, does it taste different based on person and on what they've eaten, what chemicals, what hormones they've had running through them? Maybe it's all blood from the same family, but still, this is a lot of blood. Does lots and lots of blood mixed together from lots of different people taste good to vampires? Does it just become homogenized? Have we... Yes, here we are. I love superheroes. You all taste so good. So there's something about superheroes particularly that affects taste. And I prefer the blood I drink to be flavoured with fear. Yes, there we go. There's two more instances of vampires making reference to blood having a distinct flavour. Flavoured by something, either fear or the person being a superhero. Now, whether that's because superheroes feel a lot of fear, or because there's something else that this feeder, rather than this other one, the sanguinarian, like about the taste. In the same way that someone might like pizza over pork. I don't know. So, this fountain has to, flavor-wise, not be all that great. I have, like, the closest analogy I can think of is taking loads and loads and loads of different types of other drink. Like, if you just slung a bunch of wine and whiskey and port and creme de menthe and Baileys and just every alcoholic beverage you could find, just slung it all together and poured it into a fountain, or I don't know, Coke and Pepsi and Sprite and Fanta and Tango and Lilt, Vimto, just everything, every soda, fizzy pop, whatever you like, just bring it all together, serve it in a fountain. What that tells me is that these guys are trying to show off that they have lots and lots of blood available to drink, but that they don't care about the flavour that results, which suggests to me that they're nouveau riche, like they're very desperate to appear impressive. And here's another fountain. Also, the thing about blood is that it coagulates, it thickens, it tries to scab, because if you've got lots and lots of blood flowing, generally speaking, that's not a good thing for your health. At least the body doesn't think so. So they'd have to add a chemical to this to stop it from thickening and coagulating into a solid, a sort of crumbly, scabby solid, which probably also affects the flavour, because you can't just leave blood also, I mean, I've never seen a huge quantity of blood in one place, but I'm pretty sure that it's not clear like this is. So we can either assume that this is clear because of the anti-coagulating agent that they've included, or that actually it's maybe not blood and instead is coloured water, which is even sadder really than it being real blood. Because it's like, we're trying to look impressive and look like we have access to enough blood to display it all like this and make it seem as though we have immense bottomless resources. But actually it's not blood at all, it's just water stained red. Like, it could be that it's supposed to intimidate people who they've brought here. And I suppose a person who's been brought here, a human, a mortal, who's been brought here for the purposes of being eaten, probably wouldn't be in a position to be able to tell. At least not for very long. They'd probably get the impression, the visual impression of it first. Because the thing about blood is that it has a very, very distinctive smell. And I have to expect that if you've got this much of it flowing, the smell will be very, very prominent. Come along, everyone, on the Lightning Express. Put you down. That was interesting. That was a magic attack, I think. I haven't really been demonstrating it very well, but the thing is that I've learned over long experience that if you get too close to those mist balls, they will hurt you quite a lot, because it's basically the vampire having one last ditch effort trying to drain your blood so that it can survive. It's probably not such an issue for me for this build because I'm so resilient, so I'll let it happen just to demonstrate next time I come across an immortal, whether that be in here, which I probably will do actually. There's probably more immortals in here somewhere. Oh yeah. It's still you. Just to demonstrate to any viewer who hasn't played the game that it's not such a good idea to be near immortals when you defeat them, or at least there's a brief window where you can just step smartly away. Oh, there's one. That's convenient. Seeing all of these raggedy vampires on their ancient you know, armchairs and sofas makes me think of the, and I can't remember the name because I've never actually watched it. Is it a film by Taika Waititi? About vampires, in which he plays a vampire as well. I've seen lots of GIFs of it, and they seem very funny. But the thing is that I tried to watch. I've seen GIFs of a variety of shows. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Why do I keep using that power? I don't need to use it. Anyway, so here we are. He's going to drain me. Quite a lot of health, actually. About 170 each tick, which would be noticeable on someone with less health. So yes, I've seen, you know, GIFs of Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Arrested Development, and I've tried and Parks and Rec, and I've tried watching Arrested Development and Parks and Rec and not enjoyed them at all. So it makes me wary of other shows that are good in GIF form in very brief, small bursts. Oh, and the American Office show as well. That's got lots of funny bits, but as a whole, the way that the show is structured, the way that it tells its stories, I don't enjoy. I really can't stand humour based on embarrassing the watcher or making the watcher feel embarrassed on behalf of the characters. That just exhausts me. I can't. It's not funny to me. So while the show or film about vampires with Taika Waititi, which I can't remember the name of, but which I shall look up now. Probably want Wikipedia, don't I? And he's been in a number of things, I think. Not just an actor, but a director. Done a lot of stuff. What We Do in the Shadows. There we go. which is a film, not a TV series or even a short couple of long episodes. I don't know what that would be called. So, and Jermaine Clement is in it as well, who is one of the members of Flight of the Conchords. First installment in What We Do in the Shadows franchise. Oh, so it was a film first, and then what, a TV series? Yes. Or several films, maybe? Well, it looks like it's a combination. I don't think that I'm going to get into the weeds right now on the actual composition of the show or of the collected media of What We Do in the Shadows. But these vampires in their tattered clothes, lounging on old, worn, dilapidated, spooky furniture, just reminds me of What We Do in the Shadows. It's probably supposed to seem impressive, but actually it just, I can't take them seriously.
You're kidding me, right? This isn't a fair fight. You're way outnumbered, ugly.
I've heard of you, Taffy Winters, and I brought backup.
Now it.
And the sound cut out before we got there. Now it's almost even, apparently. Where the... Oh, I'm supposed to bust the door down. Cool. Guess what, chaps? Red or lightning. Ooh, who's this? Blood Gorger. Does he have new info? No. Annoying how inconsistent the game is with... Because this is obviously supposed to be a quite significant character, because he's got... a different health bar. Like, his health bar has got a border to it, and like a spiky star burst or something. Hey, I've heard of you. You're technical issues, right? Welcome to Vibora Bay, she says as I stand here, well, both of us bleeding. Everything's quiet around here, for once. For once. Thanks for your help, technical issues. So, do you think my teacher would buy that one of the dogs ate my homework? Why the hell am I still bleeding? Jesus. It keeps refreshing as well. That's fucking weird. Oh well. Taffy Winters was your average teenage girl concerned with school, clothing, being on the cheer squad at Vibora Bay High, her friends and the occasional boy. During her sophomore year, students began to disappear in the night without a trace. The VBPD suspected one of the local gangs was behind it, but didn't have any evidence. One day, while walking home from a late practice, Taffy and her friends were attacked by a group of vampires, the same ones that had been preying on the students of VBHS. I'm surprised that Vibora Bay has only got one high school. Anyway. Rather than run or faint as the vampires expected, Taffy grabbed the nearest branch and sticked a surprised vampire in the heart. Thanks to tumbling lessons, athletic conditioning from cheerleading, natural talent, and the know-how granted by a healthy dose of exposure to popular culture, Taffy proved to be the most effective vampire hunter Vibora had seen in recent times. By day, Taffy attends Vibora Bay High School and cheers for her team with her friends. By night, she hunts down the creeps and freaks who'd prey on her friends and classmates. So she's apparently an ordinary girl and still a teenager. Or at least still in high school, which I assume is the same thing. Where's the way out? Is there one? Yes, over here. Oh yes. Press the wrong button. I wonder, where is this light coming from? I finally stopped bleeding. Is it something about being near Taffy that gets the bleeding going? Yes. Something here is causing the bleeding to happen and stack up to 3 stacks. That's so weird. Defeat all the vampire groups in the nest. 49 of 50. Is there one last one? Hiding somewhere. This is where I came from, isn't it? I really hope that the game hasn't bugged out and there's still a vampire alive in here somehow. Feeding on Taffy. Something just attacked me. Because I just dodged it. The problem is I need targets to hit with my powers. So I'm going to search the rest of the map once more, just to make sure I haven't missed anyone. How on earth did Taffy get in here all the way through all these vampires into that room with no entrance other than the one that we used? And yet there were still so many vampires filling the space after she... Oh, here we are. I missed this one. Hopefully this is the last of the vampires I need to defeat. Yes, splendid. Now we can leave. The mission is done. We'll just leave Taffy there to bleed. But now we need to meet her in the crypts, apparently. As a new mission. Oh, server not responding. Fantastic. Is my phone connected to the internet? Yes. Well, it is currently. The Wi-Fi indicator is telling me that it is connected. But I don't know for sure. So, if anyone has been trying to send me messages in the chat that I haven't responded to, I apologize. As before, it might be that my phone is just not letting me see them because it's a bit shit like that. Refusing to actually be properly connected and not letting me know when it isn't. Hey, I've heard of you. Your technical issues, right? Welcome to Vibora Bay. Stalking on sunshine. Seeing red snake. Burn him out. Nice reference to Katrina and the waves there. A nest of vampires has infested another crypt nearby and possibly even taken hostages. I'm planning to go down, burn the vampire coffins, free any hostages they might have taken, and take out the master of the nest. Vamps should know by now they can't snack on anyone in my city. Want to come along? I have some spare torches you may use, and there are more in the crypt if you need them. Those coffins are really hard to wreck, except with fire. I'll meet you there. I wonder whether you can do it with fire superpowers. Technical issues. I am becoming increasingly concerned with the number of new shadows popping up in Vibora Bay. The southeast graveyard is teeming with new shadows. Vampires are incredibly sensitive to UV light, and I have sent several before you to attempt to blast them with makeshift UV devices. Several people before me? Or she sent several UV lights? Makeshift UV devices. Tanning beds, actually. As far as I know, the tanning beds are still set up in the graveyard. They just need to be jump-started. Head over to the old tanning salon and see if you can't find a power supply to get them back on. The dogs have since overrun the area and may be holding such a device. If you find something to power the beds, take it to the graveyard and wipe out the new shadows. So I don't know why a tanning bed would need a specific, unique power supply. I mean, don't you just plug them in at the wall? My job has gotten a lot more difficult since that Vladik Dracul guy started importing vamps from Shambhala. Before you could stake 'em and be done. Now they know how to block and dodge and throw a punch. In fact, a bunch of these bloodsuckers seem to know Vibora Carmesi, which is weird, you know? That's Red Snake's thing. Something is up with Red Snake. I think he's in league with the vamps, but who's going to believe a cheerleader over one of the city's most respected heroes? Heck, I have a hard time believing it. This should be a question mark, not an exclamation mark. If it needs to, you can stack them. You can have an exclamation mark and a question mark, but because it's phrased as a question, who's going to believe a cheerleader over one of the city's most respected heroes? It should have a question mark as well. My gut tells me something is going on, though, and to prove it, I need evidence. Keep working with Red Snake. Get close to him and search for clues. If he asks you to do anything, come find me instead. We'll get to the bottom of this technical issues. Okay, and there's. Can I not pick up the torch on the wall? I swear it was flashing before. And this causes me to leave. So That's weird. I thought that we'd go straight into the mission, burn them out. But looks like no, it's over here. Okay, well, let's go do that. Do enough damage to keep up with their regeneration? Seems that the answer is probably. Oh right, a blood gorger isn't a special named type, it's just a named character rather, it's just a type. A more powerful type, but still just a type. Immortals stood there wondering whether he should get involved. It's not up to you, chap. I wonder what attack that was that threw me backwards. Where am I supposed to be getting to anyway? Look, could you lot please stop this? It's a bit awkward. Isn't this the wrong area for stalking on Sunshine? Still haven't got the power supply. But I thought that stalking on Sunshine, maybe the power supply is up here somewhere, and then you bring it over here. Ah, there we are. That's where I need to be. Geiger bolt. Endless. Please not do that. It's very annoying. Back here, coward. Hiding won't save you. It's just undignified. Ordinarily, if you weren't built for tanking, you wouldn't bother this much fighting. Interesting that they're mirroring each other. The attacks are matching up, lining up rather. I think you can approach from the other side, get close enough to hop in over the wall, assuming you know where it is. Ordinarily, it would be easier to come in here and sneak in this way and just hit accept when you get close enough to this bricked up wall, than to try and fight your way through all of that lot, as I just did. So hopefully, if anyone's struggling, they can use this video as reference for exactly where they need to get to. Strap yourself in, technical issues. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Are you ready to rock, technical issues? Because I am ready to roll. Let's go. Something in here. Sometimes is. Well, I guess not in this case. Oh, she's getting involved. Cool. That's good. What level is she, by the way? 39. That's quite high. Can it be described as staking them if you do it with lightning? I mean, the thing with lightning is that it cooks you. It superheats you. So I suppose... Didn't she tell me that you need to use fire on the coffins, and yet she's run up to this one and started punching it. Hey Ravenforce, welcome along. We're fighting alongside definitely not Buffy Summers. She told me during the setup for the mission, the info at the beginning, that you're supposed to use fire on the coffins because they're really tough, and yet what she does see. Let's destroy 50 coffins, jeez. Those coffins are really hard to wreck, except with fire. I have some spare torches you may use, and there are more in the crypt if you need them. And yet, when she is presented with a coffin to destroy, fire she does not use. See? She's trying to beat it up. Well, she is kind of amazing, actually. Amazing Taffy Winters, because her info text indicates that she's an ordinary human. She's not a slayer, like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She doesn't have any supernatural weight behind her ability to attack. Team Spirit and cheerleading moves are all the fire she needs. I guess so. And I was also wondering myself, the thing about lightning is that, well, the way that it does damage is by basically cooking you. The friction of the what is it? The electrons moving through you is basically what does the damage. Witchcraft's magic candy corn. Why was there a... Oh hey, missed one in the corner here. Why was there a Halloween event candy corn treasure in here? Am I supposed to take it that this is sufficiently Halloween-y that it qualifies as Halloween no matter what time of year it is? So probably electrocuting the coffins is sufficient heat. And it's not fire. But the thing about fire that does the damage is the heat. And electricity also generates lots of heat. And it meets resistance. So maybe that's good enough. I think it was a mistake, if I recall correctly. The chests are from Cacophony's crypts. I'm not even sure they should be in there. Yeah, I think the only place that you find them otherwise is the Cacophony's crypts during the Halloween event. Don't run off, Taffy. There's still a coffin here to destroy. And these guys are much more interested in me than they are in Taffy. I don't know, I think makes sense because I have overheard several vampires saying that they like the taste of superhero more than anything else, which indicates to me that vampires are interested in the taste of different types of blood, that different bloods have a distinct taste, which makes their choice of decoration in the blood red fountains all the more confusing. I mean, I've complained about this already earlier. And I don't know that there are any fountains of blood in this crypt specifically. No, thanks, Taffy. Just watch the vampire slash at me. Don't worry about joining in or anything. It's not like you haven't dedicated yourself to destroying vampires. But then again, I suppose I hardly need the help. And that's pretty self-evident. Maybe she's just enjoying watching a vampire throw itself at technical issues and make absolutely no headway, damaging me whatsoever. That would certainly be a novel experience. Oh. This coffin is targetable as well, apparently. It probably doesn't contain a vampire, so I'll leave it. He's already running off to the next room. We're focusing exclusively on the coffins. Not that the vampires seem to be doing her very much harm. Oh good, she's done that one. I wonder what build she's using. I mean, that seems to be martial arts mostly. She's got a shuriken throw, a lunge. Well, using shuriken throw is very useful. And the only side case, corner case I can think of to use it for is if you really need something to apply bleeds at a range. But to actually get it to apply bleeds, you have to spend an advantage, and I don't know that any non-player characters have advantages spent on their powers. Seems to be fully unarmed. Yeah, despite the katana she's got on her back, or on her side, and the axe she's got on her back, she's not actually using any attacks that use swords, or, well, any edged weapon, other than the shuriken throw. I mean, maybe you'd want shuriken throw for applying challenge, but it's single target, so you probably wouldn't actually, now that I think about it. NPCs will usually make use of versions of player powers, so whilst they may look the same, they apply different effects or deal increased damage. Well, yes, I suppose that's the thing about NPC powers, is they can apply, or they can deal as much damage as the devs decided they should, rather than being limited to what you can actually do with the advantage system. No, that's not what I wanted to tap. I want unavailable, and I think she's using Righteous Fists. That's the bouncy one, isn't it? Where you jump around a lot. Example, the Fiend from Lore in-game makes use of kinetic darts as one of his main attacks, and it hurts. Definitely not an energy builder for him. No. So, Vicious Strikes. Apparently, this takes slightly less time to activate. Not that a third of a second is very much time at all. But one of them you kind of bounce around a lot, like Taffy, and one of them is just straight punches. And I've always imagined Righteous Fists, I think that one's the bouncy one. I've always imagined that to be kind of like a Spider-Man style of close combat attack, compared with the other one being a Batman style. Let's see if we get to see her actually do it. No. She's happy to let me deal with the vampires. Righteous Fists, Dragon Kick, Shuriken Throw, Thunderbolt Lunge. And that appears to be it, doesn't it? No, that's also the kick combo, isn't it? I don't remember what that's called. Oh no, what? Thundering Kicks. I think she's using Thundering Kicks a bit as well. Anyway, let's just check and make sure that I haven't missed any coffins, because it would be really irritating to get to the end and find I was missing one or two. I have to come back through. I also have to assume that she's still wearing her cheerleading Spanx under the skirt, because she's... Yeah, there we go. That was the jumpy, bouncy Righteous Fists attack for a little bit there. She's using attacks that lift her legs above waist height, so I have to assume that she's wearing her cheerleading Spanx under the little skirt that she's got on. Or she's a bit of a show-off, which would also be fine, I suppose. If weird, because she's supposed to still be in high school. She might be over 18, but it's probably best to assume not, and not risk it. Crypt Master. Does he have any different info? No. Alright then. There is nothing more delicious than the blood of the righteous. Let's see how ancient, powerful vampires feel about massive quantities of lightning. Oh, they don't like it very much. What a surprise. Again, she's just stood there watching me finish the vampire off. Taking a rest, I suppose. Come on, move away from him, or I'll eat you. Oh, he's coming after me. Alright then. Rock on. One less vampire nest to worry about. Certainly seem. Hold on. There's still a bunch of coffins here. But we can't destroy them. That's annoying. Oh, and there's a door in the final room. Wonderful. Although it still, again, raises the question, why didn't our character enter through this door? That would have saved... Well, I mean, it wouldn't have saved going through all that. I mean, part of the point was taking out all the vampires. But we could have started with the difficult one rather than end with him. I feel like it would have been kind of a morale blow if you'd come in... If you'd taken out a nest after taking out the master of the nest. The leader of it. You could go through and be like, "You're no match for me. I've already defeated your master. Look at you. You don't even have a name tag on." You don't stand any chance. I think I'll go back and talk to Red Snake. Rather than it being like fighting through the vampires and them going, "You may have defeated me, but you'll never defeat my master." If you take out the master first, it's much more of a... Oh, it's a different person on the desk. Wearing very odd clothing. Bowler hat. Tuxedo with tails. Shorts. No socks. Buckled shoes. Typing with fingers like claws. Looking at a blank screen. He has definitely made some style choices, hasn't he? Maybe they're supposed to be breeches, but even if they are, he's missing the socks. You lived. Well done, technical issues. I suppose you didn't have too much trouble. Nope. I'm dead good, me. Betrayal by Boccieri. I have uncovered the location of a dangerous vampire named Marcello Boccieri. Go forth and bring this creature to justice. I wonder if we'll get any more suspicious things if we go through the rest of the map. No. Well, I mean, I feel like a beehive that big in 2009 is suspicious. But then there are a lot of weirdos in the US. I've seen people of Walmart. I know that strange decisions are made by strange people. No, this is the limit. What is kind of surprising is that they're practicing kata. He's got a cowboy hat on in street clothes. But never been to the US, but YouTube is eye-opening. Yeah. On the one hand, it's kind of uncomfortable to practice in street clothes, but on the other hand, you're not, if you ever get into a fight, you're not going to be in gym gi or gym wear. Like, you'll be in, well, probably not this sort of clothing precisely, but the kind of clothing that you wear in everyday life. So I suppose it is worth practicing in day clothes so that you've got a better feel for how you'll move. There was a stretch of wall on the inside, but the doorway was smaller, so maybe there's like an atrium or like a small like entry, I forget what the word would be, porch. That you just don't see, that your character just passes it through immediately, because this is a much smaller door, and there's a section of wall here where on the outside, if each door led straight from one to the other, there would be a section of paper door here, but there isn't. So either that's just tacked onto the wall and is entirely decorative, or there's a small porch section that the game just completely skips over because it's irrelevant. Which, you know, fair enough. That's not what a cobra's face looks like. That's cartoon dog face, not a cobra. It wouldn't have been difficult to look them up. Anyway, let's go and do Huff and Puff. It really irritates me when artists don't do any research. I remember seeing a short comic, which wasn't very good, of someone using a starter pistol, but the way that the artist had drawn the pistol was with the cylinder and then the barrel attached to the center of the cylinder, sticking out the middle. And that's not how a revolver works, not remotely. You may align the barrel to the top or the bottom sometimes. If you align the barrel lower, you've got more weight on top of the barrel. Particularly, you can add weight above the barrel so that there's less recoil up. But to have the barrel in the center of the cylinder of bullets, it's like... it's not even difficult to look up. If you just open Google and go starter pistol or revolver, it'll fucking show you. It's not a mystery. I wonder what this person's doing. Shadowcaster floating on a huge throne. Just chilling out, not doing anything for the oh, this is a fun open mission. Definitely recommend completing it. Cool. Oh, hey, Sovereign Sun's Voodoo Scythe, which I also already have. So I'll just sell that one on the auction house. Oh yes, so when we came, the very first time came to Vibora Bay during Queen City, we saw Black Mask over here having a fight with some Sovereign Sons, I think, and basically on the losing end because she was losing masses of health and wasn't making very much headway, but we cut away before we actually saw fall over, which would have been a bit of an undercut to her status as a superhero. Quite like the fact that it's soloable. It does seem easier compared with certainly the other one here, Preternatural Pot Puree. Pot Puree? Potpourri? I think I've heard it pronounced, but that was by Ross on Friends, and he seems to go out of his way as a character to find ways to be wrong. So maybe he was not pronouncing potpourri correctly either. Wow, look at that chap. LeBlanc. Sovereign Sons are... Oh, that's not useful information. Just a giant albino crocodile. Is he a part of the mission? Oh, yes, he is. Defeat LeBlanc. Glad that he doesn't just show up sometimes out of nowhere. Crocodile Rock, of course, being a reference to a an Elton John song. Quite a good one, in my opinion. But then art is subjective. Wow, he's dishing out quite a lot of damage, isn't he? Where is he off to? He's trying to lead me somewhere. It's not going to do you very much good. Still got quite long range attacks. Sure, the thunderclap requires me to be close to you, but I can still hit you with the Geiger bolt from all the way over here. I don't think you like that very much, do you? I know that he's been created on the scale of a normal character and then scaled up, but the implication is that in universe he's managed to find a series of skulls for his belt and feathers for his armband actually as well. They're absolutely enormous. Now the feathers I suppose you probably could find on weird creatures, probably on Monster Island, but where do you find near human skulls that big, and so many of them? I suppose it's possible that he's got normal sized skulls and had someone blow them up for him, or increase the size. I don't want to say blow them up because that might be a misleading term. Just shows that he's got slightly larger skulls for his belt, I guess. I mean, it would be more impressive, well, not impressive, but scarier if he had lots of smaller ones. I definitely didn't have the debuff on, and I definitely held down the key, so why did you not launch a full lightning bolt? Pretty sure that I had enough energy for it, but maybe I was wrong. I don't know. Sometimes it gets a bit too much to keep track of. Come on. Extremely unimpressed still that you have to block for a period of time to let the block charge up before it'll actually fucking properly block damage or effects. There we go. Now, where is the reward area? Is it over here? Who are you guys? Oh right, this is more of a mission. Ah, it's not over yet. I see. Who are you? Do you have any special info? No, you don't. You've got even more health than the giant crocodile. I don't think you can get... Can you get body paint skeleton? Or is that the pattern of the full cover tights that someone's used and coloured to look like black skin? It's a bit difficult to tell because, well, she's huge, isn't she? Jeez. I mean, my character is 6 foot tall. Oh, it is a... it is bare skin and body paint. Okay. Wait, how tall is she? I'm 6 foot, so she's probably like 10 foot tall. Enormous woman. All I wanna do is see into giant woman. Although of course, what's the character's name? Is it Opal? Is even bigger than this. She's like that tall. Some NPCs have in-combat size manipulators. She doesn't have any stacks of anything though. It's just hold resistance, dependency, well, and other debuffs that I've applied to her. Do size modifiers show up as buffs or debuffs? They're usually hidden, okay. What do these unstable dolls do? Do they just explode on you? I also find myself wondering whether, it's a bit difficult to tell, but does she have body paint on her boobs? No, they're a skull bikini. Or perhaps skull pasties. You can do the grab the money and run custom alert. You can see it on Hummingbird at the end of the mission. She grows and then reshrinks. Okay. Fuck, I definitely had the key pressed down and enough energy, so why did it only fire off a brief amount of... It's really irritating. Seems like fighting Marinette would be difficult to do solo. I know that you said that it's soloable, but I mean, White Crocodile was difficult enough. I suppose you do have like 20 minutes to defeat her. There we go. Why does Shadowcaster get more... He barely did anything. That's a rip-off. Shadowcaster was just here, as far as I saw. Alright. So we're doing Huff and Puff. Stop the hijacked truck. Shadowcaster was probably farming mobs for ages. Oh, okay, fair enough. Wonder why. What do you get from the mobs here? Would they have been after costume drops? Pretty beefy truck, isn't it? Get hit by the... Oh. That's a letdown. Get hit by the tram and nothing. Just go straight through her. Surprised that a... Wow. That's dramatic. I'm surprised that a pufferfish truck explodes quite so violently. Spent several hours farming a few days ago and nothing. Looking for face paints. Oh, that's a shame. I mean, all I got was the voodoo scythe. And I mean, I already have it because I found it on the auction house and bought it. So I have to assume that it's one of the more common ones. Hold on a minute. Halloween treat bag. We're well past Halloween. I wonder where that dropped from. Well, it must have been inside the crypts because that's where... Oh, here we are. May want to click on the bag of white powder later. Okay, I think it gives you a mission, doesn't it? Is it the does it give you the mission where you... No, you have to go and have Joy-a-Rig analyze it. This strange powder was important to the Sovereign Sons, so it's good you recovered it. I'm not familiar with it, but you may be able to get more information from Joy-a-Rig about it. I'm almost certain he'll be able to tell you what it is and what it's used for. You can find Joy-a-Rig in his garage, west of here. Okay. Does it lead to the mission where you go into a big warehouse like this and grab ingredients as a Vodun priest shouts them out to you? Because I've tried doing that a few times and it's really irritating because actually finding the correct ingredient is, or I found it to be quite difficult to do. That's amusing. Just immediately transfer from standing to on his face. No animation linking the two. Where it where he falls over. Just boop. Do you know if you can get any kind of costume piece to match the big scaly back that these guys have? Because there's stuff that's similar, like the rock formation you can get for the back, but it's got crystals that stick up like this, rather than being kind of shaped backwards. And there's a variety of spikes, like Lemurian spikes and stuff, but they all shift upwards, don't they? Not go off. We played the animation for Geiger Bolt, but apparently I got controlled slightly before it went off, so the damage didn't hit, which is annoying as well. You'd think if someone was charging up a big attack and then immediately lost control of the energy that they were building because of a control effect, it would go off, not dissipate. Is it just me, or have these crocs been skipping leg day? Or this croc maybe, just specifically. It's a muscly leg, sure, but it's not as beefy as the top half, is what I'm trying to get at. Dorito curse. Yeah, maybe. He's got a wide thigh gap as well, hasn't he? His biceps are wider than his thighs. That's definitely a case of skipping leg day, isn't it? It's difficult to tell because he's moving a lot, but his thighs might be thicker than his neck. Hey, digital seahorse. Welcome. We're just complaining the huge beefy crocodile men have been skipping leg day. We are... What are we trying to do? The voodoo that they do. We are defeating groups of sovereign sons. For the heck of it, apparently. Which does make me feel a bit awkward. Because all the members of the voodoo they do remind me of the Babe. Yes, I thought of that when I picked up the mission. All of the members of this gang who aren't crocodiles or zombies are black, which is... It's very awkward. But on the other hand, every member of the Red Banner gang was Asian, and just because you're black doesn't mean you can't be a criminal, but... It still doesn't feel good, you know? There we go. Mission finished. Ah, and there's even a door in this final room. And I suppose in a mission like that, where you're just defeating lots of, like, as many as you can, it doesn't matter which end you go in through first. Unlike some missions where you're asked to defeat a boss or like a leader or something, and you go in through the front door rather than the back door. The door that leads to... I got... I need to collect water for water bombs. Where's the church? Oh, here. Ah, yes, it's even marked by... this thing, I mean. I thought that this building was the church, because it's square, but, no. I was wrong. Oh. Do I just have to sit here and keep clicking repeatedly? Yes. I just have to stand here and pull water out of this small baptism basin 9 times. So I wonder if there's enough in there for 9 of them. Baptism by Aya. Well, the thing is about baptism by Aya, I mentioned when I picked up the mission, but I don't know that you were here at the time. This was given to us by... Great way to piss off vampires. Yeah. This was given to us by Black Mask, and she suggests doing it. I don't know if you noticed, but the new shadows hate the dogs with a passion. That's good news for us, and I'd like to see them fight the other Vibora gangs just as much. The more they fight amongst themselves, the less time they have to cause trouble. I've been talking to Jury Rig, and I think we have a plan. The thing is that every other piece of media that I've ever consumed that deals with gang crime, whether it be superhero fiction or detective procedural crime shows, or any kind of crime show, basically, they all really, really want to avoid gang wars because gangs have a tendency to spill damage around. Like, it's not just members of the other gang that they hurt, it's everyone in the communities between the two gang turfs. And so to have Black Mask suggest actively trying to... What mission is that? iZombie. Actively trying to encourage a gang war just seems like a really, really bad idea. Like, has Black Mask not been a hero for very long? Oops. Tried to escape the hold and entered the mission instead. Oh well. It wasn't a fight that I actually needed to be involved in. So it's not a big deal. Cops being a literal gang in the US is a thing too, IRL. Yes. The thing about superhero universes, and particularly this one, is that the police in such universes are considerably less effective, generally speaking. So the problems that plague the modern US police system aren't quite so pronounced in superhero fiction, generally, because there's actually is brutal, overzealous, no what's the word I'm looking for? No accountability, private soldiers running around beating up criminals in superhero universes, and maybe acts as a warning to police in such universes, that, or at least they've got people who are doing a bad thing to point at and say, hey, they're not supposed to be doing that. At least we're not doing that. We're better than that. But yes, IRL, a lot of police in the US are not great. Some people like to say that it's just a few bad apples who are giving police a bad name, but the thing is that that's from a saying, in the same way that curiosity killed the cat is a saying, and the early bird gets the worm is a saying. The thing is that a few bad apples spoil the whole barrel is the full saying. Like, you can't just use part of it. You need to have the whole saying. Because it, well, in this case, and in most cases actually, with sayings like that, they prove the opposite that people usually try and prove with a saying like that. So, the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Or curiosity killed the cat, which is supposed to be a warning against people being curious, but the rest of the saying is, but satisfaction brought it back. Seahorse. It is true with the whole saying. I've seen apples spoil faster with just one that was bad placed too close. Yes, in this case, it is literally true that bad apples will spoil good apples by proximity. But in cases like the early bird gets the worm, it's just supposed to be a saying to encourage people to get up earlier. When, first of all, some people's brain chemistry is such that they just function better getting up later and staying up later. Like, sorry, we're not all neurotypical, Karen. Late people get worms too. Yes, you can get worms if you don't wash your hands properly. But The early bird gets the worm, not the early word gets the berm. That doesn't make sense. But the second mouse gets the cheese, is the rest of that saying. Here we are, getting the snow relic. This is... Curiosity killed the cat, which is usually used by people who don't like answering questions from people, awkward questions from people who are being perhaps a bit too insightful for them to deal with. But the rest of the saying is, but satisfaction brought it back. And blood is thicker than water is also used to make people feel guilty for not being in full support of their asshole family. Oh, Karen, maybe she'd be less of a dummy if she slept more, just by not being awake to annoy people. Yeah, maybe. So, blood is thicker than water is often used by people who are trying to make you be more respectful to family that don't necessarily deserve respect, because just because you're related to someone doesn't mean that automatically makes them a good person or worth defending or sticking around. But the thing is that saying actually has an extended version as well, which is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which actually means that the saying means the exact opposite, and it was invented so that people who were converting to Christianity shouldn't feel, or so that it could be used to reassure people who were converting to Christianity that their non-Christian relatives weren't going to bring them down by association. But it can also more generally mean the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It can also mean that the bonds formed by choice are stronger than the bonds formed by accident of birth. What an odd place. So if anyone ever tells you blood is thicker than water to try and cow you into supporting your asshole racist uncle or whatever, now you can turn it around on them. There's probably more sayings, but I forget the rest of them. Why am I collecting... Sovereign Sons have gotten their hands on powerful artifacts unearthed in Central America. If they're allowed to combine the ancient Mayan magic with their own voodoo, the results could be catastrophic. Reports indicate that there are 3 magical statues attuned to the powers of ice, fire, ice and lightning. Destroy them all. It's the only way to ensure the Sovereign Sun never rises. Okay, so we're not looking for the 3 of the 4 gems of, what is it, human power? Something like that? One of which is the fire gem, which Caliburn holds, so that he can become Archmage. Which really, I mean, he should do anyway. Be helpful if he goes ahead and becomes Archmage. I haven't seen any indication yet that he is going to act on that. Weird flames lighting the corridor. Are they magic, do you suppose? Or are they burning a weird type of gas that gives a blue flame? I do feel kind of bad rocking up and attacking people who are just hanging out, dancing, chilling. I mean, I know that they are a criminal gang and that they do spread drugs and raise zombies and things, but it does make me feel like kind of a bad guy. Digital Seahorse, I was thinking recently about other sayings. Hey, wait, just because people say this a lot doesn't make it true, especially if it doesn't prove to be more benefit to anyone than it is easily used to manipulate others. Yeah. I'm not so great when it comes to fractious discussions in person. I get stressed out by it very easily and my brain just kind of shuts down and stops working and I forget how to words, which just makes me more frustrated and upset, which makes it worse, so I try not to, if at all possible. Get into verbal fights. That was weird. Why was my character doing the animation for trying to escape from bonds that are binding her hands when she'd been controlled by a stun ability that from like a thunderclap hand movement? There's 3 X's inscribed on the sides of this box. Oh well. I think we're done. Let's exit. There's another open world mission here. iZombie, and I've tried doing it several times in the past and not really managed. Don't touch it, cursed porno material. Could be porno material of crocodiles and zombies, which nobody wants to look at. Got a Desert Bush shirt yesterday. Cool. I ordered mine a couple of days into the run because I kept forgetting, because I needed a password that I didn't have on hand to log into something. So mine should be turning up soon, I hope. This generator is hooked up to my power core charger. Turning this generator on will begin charging the power cores. It will take roughly 20 seconds to charge the power cores fully. When completely charged, the cores will emit a blue glow from the tops of the cores. Do not attempt to remove the power cores before they are done charging. Warning, be sure you want to turn this on. Once it's turned on, it cannot be turned off. Okay, startup generator. I don't remember exactly what happens during this mission. And why it's a pain. Oh, hey, Biobeam. Is that... I think that's Raven Force, isn't it? Here to help. I think they get unmanageable. The numbers keep increasing and the damage that they do becomes unmanageable. I think. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've actually tried doing this mission. And it doesn't help that being in combat slows you down so that you can't zip back to the next place that needs attention. Why do these turrets have such limited time spans that they stay up for? What it takes to turn on a turret? Circuitry pawn? Like what Bender looks at in Futurama? Oh, whoops. perhaps I should just stay here and deal with these guys exclusively. Super irritating that they completely ignore you. Is there any way to pull their attention with challenge or anything? Right, yeah, it's destroyed. Oh well. That ramped up really quickly. Is there any way to heal the generator? Oh, you can? That's weird. It isn't just me, it's weird that you could heal a generator. Is that about as small as you can possibly get? Cool outfit, by the way. You'll grab a healer. Cool, no worries. Fishy business. Stalking on Sunshine. I could probably manage to go and do Stalking on Sunshine in 2 minutes. Or at least this part of Stalking on Sunshine. Regenerated generator. Yep. Makes total sense. Don't worry about it. What's this mission? Oh, and this is another open world mission. Didn't mean to get distracted. I'll come back and do this one. There's a person here with a mission. Is it not them? Oh, it's there. Oh well, look, I'll go and do... I've only ever completed King's Throng once. I'll come and grab the thing from here, whatever it is. Do I go into this area, or do I have to grab the thing from a member of the dogs? You've only completed King's Throng once. Very lovely end scene. Power supply, fantastic. Now I can leave. Well, it would probably be quicker if I... Oh no, it wouldn't. I could just float off slowly. There we go. Is it just me, or is there a lot more open world missions here in Vibora Bay than there are in the other zones? Or is it just that Vibora Bay is actually kind of smaller and therefore there's less space? To put those open missions in the first place. Boar and VB, it feels like they definitely require teaming more. Yeah. Which is odd because this is the final zone, more or less. So you'd expect there to be fewer people getting to this stage overall, just because of the way that people play the game and people play games. Like, fewer people get to the end than start because people lose interest for a variety of reasons. I wonder whether it's possible to do this with just very, very high DPS and an extremely efficient build, where you just take people out, take the zombies out way more quickly than they can get into range. Well, I mean, by this point, it might be too overwhelming even for an excellent solo build. An excellent build to do solo, I mean. It's also slightly galling that my electricity-powered superhero can't help charge these things faster. Energy transfer rate doesn't seem to be the issue, or doesn't ever seem to be the issue. Like, you don't ever seem to overload things by putting too much power into them all at once. It's usually... No, that's not quite right. That's not true. It does happen. You do overload things sometimes in this game, I think. Where have we pulled these guys in from? Oh no. Get those voodoo dudes. That's part of the mission. Okay. Wow, this would definitely be impossible solo. Feels a little bit horrible to put it in. Thank you for the help. This would have been impossible without you. How many of these zombie summoning scrolls do I need? Oh well. I'm going to go and do King's Throng. I fear it's the end of days. You don't know how true that is. The Trey Kings seem determined to destroy the power of the Trismegistus Council. I'm sure they see the presence of our council chambers here inside their territory as a direct threat. They have launched a number of assaults on this building in the past few days, each surpassing the next the last, surely, in ferocity. Because if each surpassed the next in ferocity, it would mean that the further ahead you get, the less ferocious they are. So if the first one is more ferocious than the second one, which is more ferocious than the third, then the first attack would be the most ferocious, and the last or the most recent would be the least. Which, I mean, why would you worry about that? Each surpassing the last in ferocity, not the next. Come on, speak properly. In the event an assault occurs while you are here, I would ask that you help clear the courtyard below us of Trey Kings. If you can clear the way, council members will be able to reach our mystic circle and activate wards that will repel the attackers. I will monitor the action from here, and should the battle turn against us, I will enter the building and energize our internal defenses. Okay, well, I probably should do the mission first and then pick up those the open world mission first, and then pick up those missions from him. Interesting that he didn't even turn around until I dealt him a third of his health damage. I suppose he was trying to appear impressive with me zapping his arse. There's a whole bunch of them over here. Nearly there. Oh, hello. It's nice of the game to cut in with a cutscene whilst we're in the middle of a fight. Keep the Trey Kings off the Elders so they can complete the ritual. Time spent fighting for themselves means time not spent on the summoning. The open mission counter shows the percentage to completion of the ritual. Keeping the Trey Kings off the Elders will allow them to complete the ritual faster. If an Elder summoner falls, then the ritual cannot be completed. Ooh. So we need to keep them alive. Oi! Fucking stop that. attack me, not her. I feel like the way that they build this should be that it's possible with one person, and then as more people join in, it gets more difficult. And I realise that that might be difficult to, or tough for people to scale properly, but I know that it's an MMO and that it's supposed to be played in a group. Like, the point of it is that it's massively multiplayer online. But that's just not how a lot of people play the game, I don't think. Or play MMOs, like, in general. A lot of people play solo. Like, even the way that, for example, Star Wars Online, the Old Republic rather, I mean, is built, is solo story telling, and you can team up for the more difficult heroic missions, or whatever the actual term is. The game even gives you an NPC to help out after the first zone. There's a lot of things actually that I really enjoy, or I'm really enjoying about Star Wars: The Old Republic. But one thing I don't is the enormous global cooldown. Like, it's slightly more than a second, I think, which is longer than World of Warcraft's global cooldown. And a global cooldown is the gap between the cooldown on every ability, or almost every ability, that happens... Oh no, we failed. That's a shame. I guess it's not possible for the two of us. Yeah, the 2 centuries, the Trismegistus Council has waged war against occult menaces, and they've finally brought the fight to Vibora Bay. The Council is a collection of mages, experts in the arcane, and mystics of the highest order. Their mission is to protect the world from the dark forces most people don't believe in, or don't want to believe in. Typically they work in secret, only calling in help when absolutely necessary, but with the recent swell in mystical energy in Vibora Bay, They've become more active and more willing to work with super beings. Hopefully they can prevent the disaster their oracles see in their visions of the future. Well, thank you for the effort of trying to help. I'm sorry that it doesn't seem to have worked. Maybe next time. Demonic Fandango, which may be a reference to Grim Fandango, if Fandango is only the name of that game. If Fandango is also another thing, separate, then it may not be a reference to Grim Fandango. Anyway, as you may or may not know, the Trey Kings were once a normal street gang like any other. Something changed, though. To the last, they were all possessed by demons of varying power. For a time, they seemed to be the end. That seemed to be the end of it. But now I've gotten word that they're kidnapping innocent civilians and taking them into the sewers for dark rituals. We can't let these people come to harm or allow the Trey Kings to swell their ranks. You've got to rescue them. Technical issues. Sewer Kings. Just looking up whether Fandango is a word. It's the name of a 1956 film. Oh no, 1985. How did I misread that? Weird. Fandango was the name of a 1985 film. I don't know quite how that ties into Grim Fandango, because I've never actually watched Fandango nor played Grim Fandango. But apparently it starred Kevin Costner, Judd Nelson, Sam Robards, and Chuck Bush. But at least as far as I can tell with a brief Google search, other than that, Fandango doesn't refer to anything else. You're just in time, technical issues. A large group of Trey Kings were seen heading down into the sewers carrying some kind of mystical objects. Some kind of mystical objects? Is that how I should pass that sentence? It's a weird way of wording it. I can't... How would you do it better? If it's supposed to be a bunch of objects that are mystical, then you could say just some mystical objects, probably. Or some kinds of mystical object, but that would imply that the objects are a variety of types of mystical, rather than mystical in some way, which is what kind of mystical object, some kind of mystical object implies. Some kind of mystical object implies that it is a mystical object of some kind. Yeah, various types into the sewers carrying various mystical objects. Yeah, that's not quite as clear though. It's various mystical objects that they are mystical objects of a they are certainly mystical, and they are of the implication of various mystical objects is that they are mystical in the same way or similar ways. But there's a variety of them. But this kind of implies that it's a collection of objects that are mystical in some way. Perhaps in different ways. Anyway, given that they have connections to the Nephilim and other forms of dark magic, whatever they intend can't be good. Follow them down and find out what those objects are. Okay. Strange bedfellows. Thrakiel seems to have acquired some unique allies in his quest to bring about the apocalypse. According to reports, there is a fallen angel named Juanciel? Juanciel? A former demon priestess and a Lemurian outcast, all abiding in the Nephilim. Or aiding him and the Nephilim. Sorry, that got away from me a bit there. So the fallen angel is a separate being from a former demon priestess, presumably, who is also a separate being from the Lemurian outcast. Defeating these powerful lieutenants will certainly diminish the Nephilim's ability to enact their terrible plans, not to mention making Vibora Bay safer. Seek out and defeat Juanciel, Losana, and Tyorin before they can cause further destruction. Calling them James, Beth, and Adam would have been too much trouble, wouldn't it? No, they have to be Tyorin, Losana, and Juanciel. Or how would I pronounce Xuanciel? That can't be a real name, can it? Xuan, not I-N. I realise I may have not pronounced it correctly, but it's like Juan and CL stuck on the end of it for no reason. Good of you to come, technical issues. I have dire news. Somehow the Nephilim have learned that there are time travelers seeking to avert Thrakiel's plans. How? Juan sur Zach. Let's just call him Zach. And Louisa and Tyrone. How did these asshole Nephilim learn that we've travelled in time? I mean, maybe it's something that fueled by plot magic. Maybe it's something that they've learned through magical means, because I'm pretty sure that we've kept the people that we've told we've time travelled to pretty limited numbers, and we should be able to trust those. Zach, U, N, I, and L are all silent. So it's just X-A-N. Oh no, no N. X-A-C. Oh, X-A-C-U. That would be Zaku, which is like a Japanese person trying to say Zach. Anyway, they've acquired several copies of a very rare and dangerous tome called Imeres Pyros, which presumably has something to do with fire. Is it perhaps... What's Imeres then? written in ancient Greece millennia ago. The Greeks didn't write books, though. They wrote on tablets or scrolls. Although, I suppose it depends on how you define the word tome. Because I think in book terms, tome can actually mean... Oh, I can't remember. I can only vaguely recall one person describing the actual way that tome and book and librum and so on are different, and what they used to mean before tome came to mean book. But according to legend, the book holds a powerful spell called the Burning of Time. I don't think Imerez means time, though. The heck does Imerez mean? I'm just getting search results of apartments and studios. So apparently it means a housing business. No, as far as I can tell, Imerez isn't a word. It might be a name, though. Trying to find anything with the Google app is always difficult in my experience. But still, the ancient Greeks wouldn't have been writing books or tomes, they'd have been writing scrolls or tablets, so referring to it as a tome called Imerez Pyros. This just irritates me because it feels wrong and I can't articulate why. Holds a powerful spell called the Burning of Time and allows those who unlock its secrets to rearrange events in time to their design. Such power should be held by nobody, least of all Thrakiel's minions. The books must be destroyed. So it's books now, not book. Could you please try and be consistent about your incorrectness? At least. Wow, this is a lot of text, isn't it? Unfriendly fire. Have you ever heard of Archibald Adustum? No, I haven't. Didn't think so. Back in the 1920s, Archibald was the typical millionaire playboy, indulging his loves of easy women and fast horses. Rumour has it, not fast women and easy horses. Well, I suppose fast woman also kind of means easy woman. They have rearranged events to produce more than one book. Already technical issues. Oh, maybe... Rumour has it that much of his family's fortune came from smuggling liquor during Prohibition. Archie's public persona hid a more sinister alter ego, however, a powerful fire mage known as Charnel, which doesn't make sense because Charnel is, well, Charnel House is like a butchering house, or, the only context in which I've ever heard the name Charnel is in conjunction with Charnel House, and it's always used to describe an enclosed space, a house, a room, a warehouse that is full of blood and guts and dead bodies, pieces of dead body. So why a fire mage would choose the name Charnel, I don't know. I mean, there's char in the name. Maybe Archibald was kind of an idiot, despite being a powerful fire mage, and thought that char meant lots of fire. Charnel was an unusually violent supercriminal for his day, going out of his way to burn and kill those who crossed him. His natural magic talent was augmented through demonic pacts and ritual human sacrifice. Ancestors of a number of current Trismegistus Council members eventually tracked Charnel to one of his ritual sites and defeated him. The insane mage fought to his dying breath and vowed he would one day return from the grave to wreak his vengeance. That day may be at hand. I have gotten reports of Trey King activity near the small Adustrum family graveyard just to the west of the council building. There have also been sightings of a flaming crypt at this location, and a number of women in the area have gone missing. It seems as if the Trey Kings may be trying to recruit Charnel to their cause from beyond the grave. The council would ordinarily handle this problem, but all of our resources are tied up with the Trey Kings attacks against the council building. I'm really tripping over my tongue today. It doesn't help that some of these sentences are unwieldily long, and I can't say them all in one breath. Please investigate what is going on at that graveyard. Take this storm crest of Damballa. If Charnel's spirit has reawakened, you will need it to extinguish. I think that should probably be, but the mystic fires he will use against you. See, this is why when I write, I read what I've written back to myself aloud, so that I can get a feel for how it reads and how it sounds when you speak it, so that you're not creating unwieldy, awkward, long sentences that people trip over when they try and read. As bad as the Trey King attacks on our council building are, there is something much worse happening only a few blocks from here. The Trey Kings are little more than lapdogs for Thrakiel and his Nephilim. The most powerful and ambitious among the Trey Kings wish to serve the warped angel directly rather than as lick-spittles, fighting for scraps from his table. Unfortunately, they have found a way to attain this. Through the use of dark magic and the fusion of an innocent soul with their own twisted demonic essence, they can transform themselves into Nephilim and enter Thrakiel's kingdom. You would think becoming a half-angel, half-demon would be more difficult than that. I mean, I realise the Trey Kings are most of the way to being demons anyway, but even fusion with an innocent soul, whatever that means, shouldn't make you angelic. I mean, where are they getting this innocent soul from? Are they killing children? I wouldn't put it past the Trey Kings, but children aren't angels. If you ever met a child, you'll know they're not angels. A group of the most powerful Trey Kings are attempting this as we speak. Head due west from the Trismegistus Council until you see a construction site. The foul rituals are being performed on the workers there. Oh, so it's construction site workers who are innocent. I don't think you've ever met a construction site worker either, have you? Not to throw shade on them, but I wouldn't describe them as innocents. Undeserving of having their souls ripped out, sure, but that doesn't mean innocent. I was talking before during the innocent cat calling, yeah. It would be innocent if they were actually calling cats to cuddle, but no, that's not what cat calling is generally. So I was talking before during the attempt at the King's Throng open mission about global cooldowns, and that is, if you don't know what one is because you've never played a game with one, well, fair enough. I only realised what they were actually called after trying to learn extensively about how to properly play the rotations for World of Warcraft. So a global cooldown is the gap between activations of any ability, or almost any ability. So there isn't really a global cooldown in this game. I can go straight from using Arc Lightning to Lightning Storm and back without any gap. But in World of Warcraft, there is a small, I think it's slightly less than a second, or maybe a second, gap between each ability you can use, so it slows you down. It staggers the abilities that you, the speed with which you can use abilities. And in Star Wars The Old Republic, I don't know how long the global cooldown is in that, but it feels slightly longer, so it feels like slightly more than a second. It isn't 2 seconds, but it's not a good feeling. I mean, I assume as I play, I will stop noticing. And even if I don't, there's more than enough in Star Wars The Old Republic to keep me playing, because it's a heavily story-focused game that allows you to play solo and allows you usually 3 or sometimes 2 choices in dialogue options to allow you to express how your character would react, and you can choose your interactions, as far as I can tell, actually do have an impact on the other characters in the stories. You can choose to kill people or let them live, for example. Doing so earns you either light side or dark side points, and the whole light side dark side thing, especially in Star Wars where it's so stark and almost oversimplified, does bother me. Like, I don't feel like light and dark is, it's not a, there has to be better ways of describing good and evil. Oh cool, I'm done. There's something rumbling nearby. It has been for over an hour now, vibrating my whole basement apartment. Annoying vibes. Literally annoying vibes. I'm sorry to hear that. That's got to be jarring you. It's even worse though when there's long periods of loud, persistent noise and then small gaps of nothing where you've just got enough time to recover your hearing equilibrium and then it starts again. That's no fun. I'm sorry to hear that. Digital Seahorse. Where exactly am I supposed to be going? But this stream is not here to talk about the things that I find ham-fisted, simplistic, and which I think could have been done better in Star Wars. I'm here to talk about the things that are ham-fisted and could have been done better in this game. But it will bother me if I don't say at least a little bit about Star Wars. calling into reference that Parks and Rec gif that I see sometimes of one of the characters saying, "I don't have the time to tell you how wrong you are. No, it'll bother me if I don't." And then launching into an explanation of why the character they're talking to is wrong. So, Star Wars was inspired by a film called The Forbidden Fortress, and not Return of the Jedi. A New Hope is almost beat for beat a copy of that film, except The Forbidden Fortress is a Japanese film made in, I think, the 50s about samurai. All the characters are almost the same. I mean, it's set in, I think, Edo period Japan, so there are no droids and no lightsabers and no starships, it may sadden you to learn. Although that is a crossover I have not seen. Medieval Japan and sci-fi. Specifically starships and aliens sci-fi. Anyway, so it's even got a pair of characters that are like R2-D2 and C-3PO, except they're criminals rather than an astromech droid and a protocol droid, which would, I suppose, in a fantasy setting be a diplomatic servant and a menial labourer, probably, or a mechanic of some kind, if you can get mechanics in a fantasy setting. And the whole philosophy of the Force is drawn quite transparently from Taoism and Chinese, well, Eastern, but in ultimate origin Chinese philosophy of balance and yin and yang. And like many things in the 70s that drew from Chinese mysticism and yin-yang and Taoism, it's very, very simplistic and reduced down and not quite fully exploring and understanding the complexity of the original thing, because Taoism's got a lot more going on in it than 60s and 70s and 80s Western export of the ideas ever explored, because they were poorly translated and mostly done, well, initially it was out of interest, and then a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon to make lots of money from sounding appropriately mystical in an Eastern style, and more of it got conflated and simplified beyond simplified detrimentally. So the Force and light side and dark side simplifies detrimentally the idea of yin and yang, which is a philosophy of all things in balance, yin being passive and yang being active. So yin is not evil and yang is not good. You can be evil and very strongly... Oh hey, Nephilim Bracer, which I already have bought. Oh well, I'll sell it. So you can be good but passive and therefore yin, or evil and active and therefore yang. Like being yin or yang, or behaving in those ways, does not make one good or evil. And yet, Star Wars, it's like sub and dom of relationships. I suppose it's not really. That's not. I'm neither sub nor dom, so they aren't dynamics in relationships that I've ever explored very much. but if you need to put it into that context, then sure. There's more to the philosophy that Star Wars drew from than the simplistic boiled down, or more literally light and dark. Yeah, there's more to the philosophy that inspired Star Wars than was initially explored in Star Wars. I think that the expanded universe novels and stuff probably filled out the philosophy of the Force and the light and the dark more, but even so, it's still based on what I feel is a flawed premise, because it was an incomplete expression of something that was poorly understood at the time, because there weren't good, concise translations available in the 70s and earlier when Star Wars was first written and came out. So I feel, every time I read about the Force and the light side and the dark side, I feel like it's too simplistic, and that it's not fully, it's not correct. It's like talking about people falling to the dark side. I'm like, but that isn't how it would work. If you'd paid attention and you knew about the philosophy from which this was inspired, that's not how it would work. Vader and Darth Sidious would be very strongly Yang aligned, because they're very active, and forgiveness and peace and serenity of the light side of the Force are very, very yin, except in the idiot simplistic 70s understanding of yin and yang, yang would have been equated to morally good, and yin would have been equated to morally evil. Or angelic, or celestial and demonic. Not angelic. That would be incorrect, because the Eastern religions don't have an idea of angels. That's a very Abrahamic Western, well, Middle Eastern thing. So I've spent, I'm not sure how long, complaining about the Force and Star Wars, but I think I'm done now. But also, this is quite a long mission at 11:10, so once I've finished this mission, I'll be stopping for today, I think, and for the week, since this is Friday. There's still more of this. What am I even doing here? What mission is this? Strange Bedfellows. Oh right, yes, this is a collection of different lieutenants who are all supporting Thrakiel. So I've defeated Yuan, the Nephilim, and now we've got Louisa and Tyrone left. I'm not sure which is which. Oh, but they've got hostages for some reason. It's very weird to me that the Nephilim have a couple of... what is that? Twisted Illumination. Okay. So that'll heal opponents that get near me, I think, is what Illumination does. very weird to me that the Nephilim have some power armor attacks, like the eye beam that sometimes I get struck with is a power armor attack, and some of the more powerful Nephilim also have laser swords. I mean, it makes sense that Nephilim would have celestial powers. Or infernal ones, or combination, but I suppose they needed powers that had a certain appearance, and the closest that they could get, or wanted, I suppose, to fully explore the concept of the kinds of things that the Nephilim could do. So they chose a couple of those power armor powers, but it still feels weird. Also, this I've just noticed this like square loincloth thing looks weird to me as well, because it's so rigid and small and rectangular, square. It's like they've taped a book over their front. Which reminds me of nothing so much as Mr. Bean accidentally locking himself out of his hotel room and tearing a couple of signs off the wall to cover himself up. A private sign for the front and an exit sign for the back. Hello, Tyrone. Maybe they have freaky bits and bobs. Entirely possible. Or maybe they don't have any at all, and it's just there for decoration. You end comes, hero. I'd be a little bit more impressed if you could speak clearly. But then again, I suppose you are a Lemurian, and you have a huge muzzle for a mouth. I mean, it can't be easy to pronounce any human words with a mouth that's like this shape, that opens like this. It's not quite a lizard mouth, but it can't be easy to speak a human language with a mouth like that. So I suppose points for trying. It was a good effort, and you got close. English can't be their first language after all, they're Lemurian, but still not quite there. And ordinarily, I wouldn't mock an immigrant for their incorrect pronunciation, but he's a villain and an asshole, so I feel justified. Yes, this is the one I want to go for. I wonder whether it's worth outfitting myself with better gear. I don't know how heirloom gear stacks up against gear that you can actually build. I mean, I've still got this stuff. Full set. But I don't know that the stats I get from this and the benefits I get are better than I would get if I went for like a full set of enhancement slotted gear. If I had better gear, it would chew through these guys more quickly. Definitely worth investing in Valiant or Heroic or Merc, Heroic or Legion. Drummer comes out of retirement. Will there be repercussions? Nice. That reminds me of the kind of jokes that you see in the... so there's a meme format I've seen on Imager of Captain America in the lift with the crew of dudes who try and lock him down with like magnetic locks, I think. But the format of the meme is that Cap leans in to tell a really bad joke, and the terrible punchline prompts everyone in the lift to start to basically mob him and try and tie him down. One of them is, why is milk so fast? Because it's pasteurized. So, absolutely awful pun dad jokes. And then Captain America getting manhandled by like 10 guys. Was that a flame breath attack? It sounded like a gout of flame. Here we have Louisa. What's her business? What's her deal? Oh, yeah, she's from Demon, isn't she? But her face has been covered with wax. Or something. And she's wicked high because her eyes are dead red. Let's see. Can't really see. Oh, there we go. So she's wicked high and her eyes are completely red. And someone's covered her face in paper mache. Oh, she's got that attack. That's planar fracture. That's the first magic ult that you have available. I'm so glad that Ravenforce told me about leave current map. Otherwise I would have to have flown back through all of that and tried to find the correct place that's the exit. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for coming by and watching. I hope that you've had a good time. Thank you, Ravenforce, for coming and helping me with iZombie and trying to help me with King's Throng. I think we've learnt that that's not really possible for the two of us. I don't know if a different combination of two characters would have worked better. Maybe it needs 3 people. I have ranted for a little while about a couple of things, and hopefully you've learned something from my strange collection of knowledge. I think it needs 3 healers and several DPS. Yeah, probably. You definitely need healers to keep up with healing the Trismegistus guys, and you need someone help stopping the Trey Kings actually getting to the council members. So it's a tricky combination that you'd need. Anyway, that's it for today. We've got plenty more to do next time, and there's a lot. I'm remembering now that there's a lot of stuff to do in Vibora Bay. It'll probably be another couple of weeks worth of streams, and then even after that there's adventure packs, so I think we're good for the rest of the year, really. Anyway, that's it for me. Goodbye.